All right, well, let's get started. Hello, hello, everyone. Minasan konnichiwa. Welcome to another session of OuchiGohan, Japanese home cooking. Summer is right here now, at least here in Atlanta, and hopefully we'll be getting sunny in Boston for you, Deb, soon. But days at the beach, at the park, or just in your backyard, just ahead. So I'm so glad that you are all joining us today to learn how to make delicious and healthy Japanese picnic bento featuring your favorite foods. Today's educational family-friendly program has plenty for all ages, so I'm so glad that we have lots of families joining us today. But today's program, obviously, will be making picnic bento. Today's menu, we have a lot on the plate, but we have karaage fried chicken or karaage tofu. We have tamagoyaki or Japanese omelet, taco wiener sausage. We have also lemony cucumber pickles, marinated mozzarella spears, and rice cupcakes with furikake on top. So lots to do today and lots to cook. But before we introduce our sensei and our teacher for today, want to thank all of our sponsors and co-organizers. Of course, the Japan American Society of Georgia here in Atlanta, where I'm from. We also have folks in Japan Society in New York, Japan Society in Boston, the Japan American Society of Colorado in Denver, the Japan American Society Houston in Texas, Japan American Society in Indiana, Japan American Society of Philadelphia, and last but not least, the Japan American Society of Washington, D.C. So we have a lot to do and a lot to cook today. So without further ado, we would like to introduce to our chef and our sensei and our teacher for today, Miss Deborah Samuels, leads the program, content and curriculum development of Table for Two's USA's Japanese-inspired food education program, Washoku Iku, Learn, Cook, and Eat Japanese. And she's such a wonderful teacher and very accomplished and acclaimed educator. So we are going to be learning from her as always. So Deborah Sensei, それではよろしくお願いします. All yours.
よろしくお願いします. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our almost summer picnic bento. I'm so happy to be here again. And I want to thank Yoshi for hosting and the Japan Society of Atlanta. We've been doing this now for over a year, and our program is growing and growing. We try to pick timely topics. And so today we thought we would do a combination of bento and picnic. And as we know, bento is the perfect portable meal. And so it goes for lunch. You can get it at restaurants, which is quite different. You can take all of these foods with you on a picnic, which is what we're going to do today. And the type of food that is part of a bento is very well thought out, and you will see that the seasonings that we use are also antibacterials, which help to preserve the food. It's finger food, so it's not too messy. And I think a variety of food also, which is very good. So what I do with the program, if anybody is new, and I think we have a lot of new faces, I have about a 10 or 12-minute PowerPoint presentation, and the presentation is about bento today. So we have some framework for what we're going to be talking about, and then we all cook together. And I try to do it in 90 minutes, and sometimes I go a little over. But even though it looks like a lot to cook today, it's kind of cooking 3 things and then manipulating and marinating a few as well. So I think we'll get it all done. I'd like to show you my very special picnic bento box that I got in Japan, many, many years ago. And I will just tell you that I lived in Japan for 12 years. Over a period of now 50, I started going to Japan in 1972 as a college student, exchange student, and learned the language, and then went back several times after that, living there for a year or 2 years. My husband is a professor. We went together, political science, Japanese politics in MIT. So we've both made our career about Japan. So this is one of my many bento boxes. I'm bento crazy, and I have about 80 bento boxes. One day I'll show you my collection. but this is my perfect picnic bento that has lots and lots of different size containers to put different kinds of food in. But you don't need anything like this. I just thought I'd show you this very well planned out box. You can use any kind of plasticware that you have that is kind of leak proof and has a cover to it. And really what it is putting together a bento is thinking, having a bento state of mind. And I'm going to talk to you about that today. So let's go on to the PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to share my screen. And please, if you have any questions at all, just put it in the chat box, and we have people who are going to be facilitating and helping today. All right, so let me share my screen and we will get started. Welcome to OuchiGohan. We are a team of Japan societies around the United States, and Table for Two, which is the organization that I work for. So, welcome to Washokuiku. That is the program that we've developed. That is an educational program that brings Japanese food education, cooking, and culture to kids around the United States. And kids I use loosely because anybody from 5 to 85 has been enjoying our programs. Washokuiku is a combination of two words. Washoku, which I think all of you know means Japanese cuisine, and shokuiku, which is Japanese food education. And that is something that all Japanese students go through from kindergarten, first grade, all the way through high school. And they don't just learn how to cook, but they learn about food insecurity, they learn manners, they learn where the food comes from. It's really very comprehensive, and that's what inspired our program. And so we also teach a little bit of Japanese when we do that. You're all members you're all interested in Japan, so maybe you already know these words, but when we greet kids, we say konnichiwa, and we ask children, do they know how to say teacher in Japanese? And many kids do, because they take martial arts or something, and so it's sensei. And we say, when teachers come into the classroom, in Japan, all students stand up, put their hands in front of them and say, sensei, konnichiwa, and we then get started. Okay, so lunchtime. Bento is very often associated with lunch. And when we're teaching about something as different as bento, we like to compare it. We like to have something that kids do understand. So we ask people, what was your lunch today? Pat is having a taco. Is that correct, Pat? So you're already eating your lunch and you're having a taco. And as you can see, we have a variety of different kinds of foods that we eat in the States for lunch. Pizzas, muffins, roll-up sandwiches, and all sorts of things, usually sandwich. We are a sandwich culture, not a rice culture. And in Japan, let's see, oh, we asked, what did you bring in your lunchbox today? So to get people thinking about it, what does your lunchbox look like? And now Americans have lunchboxes that kind of look like giant bento boxes, because we eat a little bit more. Our size and portions are larger. So that is reflected in the bento boxes that kids can buy today. And who prepared your lunchbox? Okay, that's another question. And all of these get kids and people thinking about lunch and preparation of food. Here are lunch boxes in Japan. And we like to look at them and kind of notice the differences. Does anybody want to tell me what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you see these lunches, these lunch boxes? You can unmute yourself. You can put it in the chat box. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? What's the first word?
Colorful.
Colorful. Yes. Excellent. Okay, good. Anything else?
Cute.
Pardon?
Cute.
Cute. Cute or
Cute.
kawaii, right? Yep.
Yes, kawaii, cute. Yes, 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 cute. And those
We're
are
also seen in the chat box, fun, visually appealing, oishi, adorable.
very good.
Varied,
Animal.
varied.
Yes, yes, and yes, varied. Okay, so when you look at these boxes, you see color. And color is extremely important when parents are thinking about putting together a lunchbox. Very often they say it's the number one thing that they think about when they're putting together the lunchbox. And they use 5 colors, and we'll go to that in a second. There's a variety of food. Somebody noticed that. There are smaller portions, but a large variety of food. And sometimes people spend the time and make it cute. Not everybody gets Pikachu every day. I guarantee you that that is not happening. But on occasion that might happen. But people do they make an effort to have the box look appealing. And somebody said that it really looks cute when you're looking at it. And we think of the term meide taberu. You eat with your eyes. And so this is a very important part of having people want to eat their meal, little people. I'm sure people have seen lunches thrown away in a lot of different ways in schools. So lunch boxes in Japan is called bento. If somebody could tell me one other thing that they might notice about this.
It's very sustainable. You're not using a lot of individual plastic wrappings or,
Right.
like individual containers. It's kind of all cohesive in it to like work together.
Yes, that's a very good point. There's little waste in this, very little waste, because you're not opening up 5 different types of packages. But it's also compartments. Usually you see, if your kids have the bento boxes that we have now, they're divided by sort of a divider, a plastic divider. In Japan, they tend not to have those. They may have 1 or 2 of them, but they keep food separately from each other. It looks like it's right smack up against each other, but it does kind of stay separate. Okay, so we talked about colors and the 5 colors that are used in Japanese cuisine and throughout other Asian cultures in China and in Korea. These are important colors, are red, black, white, yellow, and green. It is not like the concept that we used to have of the food pyramid, where a color represented proteins and another one represented carbohydrates. These are a variety of foods, and this cloth was developed by a graphic artist for his 21-year-old son, who was going to live on his own for the very first time. And so he made this cloth for him. He gave it to him and he said, put your plate down on the cloth. And if you have 5 different colors of food, you will have a balanced meal. So, or on your way to a balanced meal. So I found that a very good way to kind of explain how this concept of color works. So some of the foods that are red, you have both vegetables and protein: hamburger, hot dog, tomato, salmon. White foods: rice, tofu, onion, potatoes, daikon radish. Yellow foods: egg, corn, sweet potato. There's a variety of different types of food in each category. Black, which is not a category that we generally have here or think about, but with seaweed, it's kind of considered black. Dark brown mushrooms can be also considered black. And green, all of your vegetables. So this is kind of a thought process that people go through when they put together meals, whether the person is 5 years old or 50 years old. There is thought generally that goes through that happens before one puts together a bento box. We talked about meide taberu. Presentation is very, very important. And again, people will spend a lot of time making something for a 5-year-old. And a lot of people might think that's a waste of time, but it isn't. And I see that that's how culture and aesthetics is absorbed. I had to learn this as an adult, and so it was interesting to observe it myself. So meide taberu, you eat with your eyes.
Yeah,
Um,
but we had a question in the chat box. Why isn't there blue in the 5-color scheme? Maybe it's not natural, or I don't know.
I don't, there are sometimes I've seen blue, but I think the green is kind of has it there, and it's not actually a completely natural color for a food, I think. But I don't know that exactly. That's a really good question. I will take a look into it, but I've seen color wheels where sometimes I see blue. And maybe I'll have the answer for you before the end of the evening. Colorful and variety, as we talked, are two important things. Tastes, different types of taste. We have 5 different, flavors: hot, sour, spicy, sweet, savory. So people try to get all those different flavors in the box. Textures, smooth, crunchy. These are things that, so if you had everything that was kind of one texture, it would be rather boring. So people think about mixing up the textures. And of course, nutrition is very important. And as you can see, these are very colorful. Even with smaller quantities, you have satiety. You definitely can feel full because of the variety of foods. Good ratios also that make up good bentos. We have different categories of foods. The grow foods are proteins. Glow foods are vegetables and fruits. And go foods are carbohydrates. And so people think about this when they put a box together. And caution, you may get too much go food, which are all those foods that we like to have. And I never say no, I just say in moderation. So kids get little treats as well. Is this a good or a balanced bento if we look at it? Let's check. Go, grow, or glow. Carrots and seaweed, glow food. Omelet, protein, grow food. Edamame and cucumber, another glow food. A rice ball is a go food. And this, it doesn't just have to be Japanese food. I will tell you, you can have pastas, you can have hamburgers, you can have all sorts of different things in here. It's the preparation and the presentation. Cherry tomatoes, a well-balanced meal in a box. Okay, healthy bento tips, color and variety, taste and nutrition, right size. This is another element which is important. The right size for the age of the person that you are making the bento for. And this is very serious business in Japan. There are hundreds and hundreds of books on bento that guide parents through this and about how many calories kids should be getting. And very often when you get up to teenage boys, you're seeing multiple carbohydrates in one box because of their energy needs. And good ratio of go, grow, and glow foods. So we are now getting ready to cook. Important, if you have a food allergy, this is what we do when we teach. You're all at home, so you know what you can and cannot eat. Today, this is our picnic bento. There's a lot in here, but as you can see, and it reflects what we were talking about, foods are kind of staying together. They're staying in their own little neighborhood. They're not, not mixing them up. It's a different kind of aesthetic. And so we have this all put together. I tried to get a little bit of black in here, and that'd be through the furikake, through the seaweed. But we're going to be making karaage. We are going to be making tamagoyaki, which is the Japanese omelet. And we've got our little taco wieners here, or little hot franks. If you're an adult and you're making this and you don't need to have a cute little octopus, I'll show you how to score it so it still looks good for you. And just a few little vegetables and things that we'll be adding to it. And instead of making onigiri today, which you usually would have to pick up, I thought it might be nice to have the rice in a cup so that you can just pick it up and we didn't have to spend time molding the onigiri, but you can certainly make it into rice balls if you choose. Okay, we're also going to be making tamagoyaki, and I am going to stop my share. And does anybody have any questions at this time? Anybody have any questions at all? I would like to ask if anybody is using tofu instead of chicken. Anybody at all?
We're gonna try to do both.
Both, okay.
Yeah, I am cheating a little bit because we only had chicken breasts and I had to use that up. So instead of the chicken thighs, I'm gonna cheat and use the chicken breast just to understand the method,
Yes, yes,
but then make the tofu also.
okay, okay.
We
It's definitely
also
not
have-
cheating.
Oh,
Don't
sorry,
worry
there's also
about it.
3 more people in the chat who said yes.
Pardon, 3 people said yes. Okay,
Yes.
that's good. All right. So we're going to get started. We're not going to do things necessarily in order because some things have to marinate. So what we are going to start with is the tofu or the chicken. All right, everybody. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my screen with my camera. Looks like we're on a TV show so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I'll bring over the tofu as well. So here's my chicken. The reason why we use chicken thighs is generally they are moist. They come out to be very moist. You absolutely can use the chicken breast. You just have to watch cooking it a little bit more because it can dry out very quickly. And if you can see, the chicken is are in small pieces. They're going to cook rather quickly. I've only done a half a pound because to fry a pound with all of us together would take a long time. So I'll ask everybody to just do a half a pound unless you have a sous chef around and you want to do all of it. So here the chicken is ready. We're going to be using ginger, fresh ginger. I'll show you how to do that. And garlic. Again, these things are antibacterials and they also help to preserve the food as well as soy sauce. If anybody is doing tofu, I'm going to do the chicken first and then I'll do the tofu. But I wrap my tofu and I think I have a medium firm one. You can do medium firm or firm. And I wrapped it about an hour ago. And I'm just going to unwrap it now. And I'm just going to show you how much water comes out of the tofu. And that will help you to keep the tofu crispy when you're cooking it, okay? And I weighted it with not a very heavy, like kind of a lightweight cutting board. All right, so get your tofu ready. We've got the ginger, the garlic, and another very important element. Now, there are 2 different kinds of coatings that we can use. You can use cornstarch, which is what this is, cornstarch. Most people have that in their pantry. Japanese use something called katakuriko. This is potato starch. And they kind of behave the same way. I find that the chicken is a little crispier when I use katakuriko, but you get a fine result with cornstarch. Is anybody using flour instead of that? You can do it in flour. It's not a problem. It's just a different kind of a coating. Okay, so we've got that. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to season and marinate the meat or tofu. And you should try to do this at least 30 minutes before you're going to cook it. That would be helpful. You can leave it in for an hour, but I wouldn't really marinate it overnight. It tends to break down the tissue in the chicken. So I'm just going to do this very briefly here. So we should have a bowl. I have a microplane, which is very easy to use. I'll show you that way, and I'll also show you the way with my knife. And I'm just going to take, depending on how much you have, I have a very giant clove here. I don't think I need 2 of these, so I'm just going to do 1. So if I can have everybody just take your garlic and do it with your microplane, you're grating it. Some people may buy grated garlic in the store. That is totally fine. But as you can see, I've got this, got the garlic there. If you do not have a rasp or a microplane, what you can do is just take your knife, the broad part of your knife, and smash, okay? That's something kids can do. When we teach this, we take cans of, peas or whatever it is, and have the kids smash it up. So if the moms who have kids around, they want to do that, that's fine. If you have one of these microplanes, that's pretty safe until you get your fingers down there. And then what I'll do is just smash this down like this. And then we'll chop. See if I can just get this a little bit closer for you. Okay. And chop that. So this is kind of extra. I really don't need all of this in there. It'll be very garlicky chicken. So I will do that. The next aromatic that we're going to be using is ginger. And again, ginger is an antibacterial. Oops, I just want to get my spoon. And this is fresh ginger. Again, this looks like kind of a lot. If you don't have fresh ginger, dry ginger is not a substitute. That is not a substitute. If you don't have garlic and you'd like to, you can use garlic salt or garlic powder. That is a substitute, but dry ginger has completely different flavor. Okay, so the way I like to peel this is I just take the back of the spoon and I run it right across the ginger. And if you can see, there's very little of the ginger meat that is left over. So I'm using pretty much all of it. You can freeze ginger if you want. If you have too much and you're not going to use it, you can definitely freeze it in slices or chunks. And again, I'm going to take my microplane, put it right over the bowl like this, and put it right onto chicken. Okay, like that. So let's just set that up. Before I set that aside, I'm also going to put on a little bit of soy sauce. I think let's say 2 teaspoons or something, but I will tell you, do not measure over the bowl. One slip and you've got too much soy sauce. So I always like to measure over another plate and then put it on like that. And okay, you can also put a little salt and pepper on if you'd like. And then, I don't know, these days I'm not into putting my hands into raw chicken. So I've been using these great little gloves that I get at H Mart, or any kind of plastic glove, or you can use, anything that you like. And then you're just going to mix it all together like this. And refrigerate it, cover it, and refrigerate it for about 30 minutes. No, by the time we're finished with our tamagoyaki, we'll be ready to get this out. Okay, so that's pretty much it. It's the same thing. No cornstarch, nothing on until we're ready to fry it. Okay, so that is that one. And I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to put this in my refrigerator. So if you give me 1 second, and then I'll be back to do the tofu. All right, like that. All right.
And Deborah, since I know we have at least one person using chicken breast instead of chicken thighs, and that's totally fine too, right? It's just maybe the chicken
Absolutely.
thighs would be a little bit savory, but yeah.
You can just maybe make it just a little bit larger. It doesn't matter, or just watch cooking it, okay? Because you want to make sure that it doesn't dry out on you or overcook. That's the only thing. So with the tofu, you're kind of going to be doing the same thing. I like to split the tofu down the center this way. And I've got about a 1/2 inch block, if you can see that. And then I'm going to cut it into 3 pieces. And I probably could make it a little bit thicker, but I also want this to cook well. And so here, just going to put it right in the bowl and do exactly the same thing. I'm just going to add the ginger and the garlic right onto here. And carefully that, and then carefully mix it around, because this will break up if we're not, if we don't treat it gently. Right, and I've got my garlic here that did it. Now, if any, we're going to fry this. We are not going to deep fry it. Deep frying is most delicious. A lot of us just don't want to use 2 cups of oil, and I get it. I don't either. So we're going to kind of shallow fry it today. But I will tell you also that you can use the air fryer. If anybody has an air fryer and would like to experiment with a few pieces, I have made it in that, and it's been very, very good. Not exactly as crispy, but it works. All right, let's add a little bit of soy sauce. Sometimes I had forgotten, sometimes I add mirin to the mixture as well. But this looks like it's enough. And in this case, very carefully toss. You want everything to, oops, because you don't really want to break it up. So you just want to carefully toss this. Okay, and set it aside also for about 30 minutes. Yeah, I'm breaking it up a little bit, so I'm just trying to be a little bit more careful than I would.
You
Okay.
mentioned that garlic powder is a substitute for garlic, but
Yeah.
maybe not so for tofu. I imagine that might not be a good idea.
It's a good point. I've never done that, but it would probably be absorbed by the tofu. You're probably right on that. I haven't tried it. It might be a good thing to do to sprinkle a little bit on after it's cooked. So you can have that flavor. All right. First task is done. I'm going to just move this off and clear the table, and I'm going to try and be organized today so that you all can see that we're supposed to CAYG, clean as you go. All right, and that helps to keep things organized. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do, and while everything is marinating, is that we are going to get ready to start cooking the tamago yaki. Okay, this is our omelet, very traditional Japanese omelet. It's pretty much a staple in bento boxes. And you get your protein, you get your color, and I'm sure many of you have had tamago yaki through restaurants or have made it yourself. I told you all 3 eggs today, but my eggs were tiny, so I put 4 in there. So our ingredients for the eggs, oops, there we go. Just this down on you here. So I've got eggs, I've got sugar, I've got 2 tablespoons of water. We'll have a pinch of salt and a ½ teaspoon of soy sauce. That can sometimes color the eggs. So depending on whether it's not a problem, if I make them a little browner, I will do that. And then I have an oil here. Now, not everybody has a tamago yaki pan. This is the classic shape Whoops, I'll just, it's over here. Of the tamagoyaki pan, it is a rectangle. And this dish is made in layers by rolling, putting down a layer of egg batter, rolling it, putting down another layer and rolling and rolling and rolling. It's kind of a big deal to do that. I've modified the procedure, so we still get the roll, but you can do it if you don't have a square pan. We're going to do it in a regular round circular pan, and a lot of Japanese do it in a circular pan, a frying pan as well. So you put this on the side, and this is my frying pan that we'll be using. Just see if I can move things over here a bit. Okay, and it's about an 8 or 10 inch frying pan. See that? Okay. It's nonstick, which is pretty important in a situation like this where you're going to be moving the eggs back and forth, back and forth. Okay. And so let's make our eggs first. All right. So I've got the, oops, just want to make sure I'm telling you the right amount of ingredients for the eggs. I have 3 eggs. 2 tablespoons of water. Let's put the tablespoons of water in with that. 2 teaspoons of sugar. Now, a lot of people don't realize there's a lot of sugar in Japanese food, but this also, again, acts as a preservative and helps to give a nice little caramelized effect to the egg on the outside. So it's 2 teaspoons of sugar. If I wasn't trying to be healthy, I'd make it a tablespoon of sugar because I really like my tamagoyaki sweet. This is not dashi tamagoyaki. Dashi tamagoyaki is made with the dashi or bonito broth, and this doesn't have that. We try to make it so that people can do this with ingredients they can get anywhere at their supermarket. But if you have dashi and you wanted to use that instead of water, you're absolutely welcome to do that. And then a half teaspoon of soy sauce. And again, I'm just going to measure over here. This is a teaspoon, but I'm just going to put in a half so that it doesn't discolor too much. Okay, and a pinch of salt. Now this one is just going to be a plain one, but you can add chives if you want. You can roll it with spinach. There's so many different things that you can do. And let's just mix up the eggs now. This is my favorite kitchen tool. They're called saibashi, and these are cooking chopsticks. So let's beat them up. Is everybody with me? I want to make sure I'm not going too fast. I will say that you probably want to watch.
Hi.
Pardon? I'm sorry.
Hi.
Oops, I couldn't hear you. So we're just going to mix this up. Like that. And then I'm going to ask you to watch me in the beginning because a lot of you are going to have to go over to your stove and back and forth. So I'd like you to watch the technique first, and then you can do it. If you want to do it along with me, that's fine. Okay. All right. So I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to move my things. I have my oil already out here. And so that this is a little bit easier to see, I'm just going to move all of this down. Now, this dish is usually done with chopsticks, and people roll it back and forth, but I'm not going to try and show off because I don't think I can do that completely without messing up. But the other thing is that it's okay if you mess up because you have a lot of opportunities to roll back and forth. So we are going to pour about a tablespoon of oil into the pan. Okay, don't worry, we're not using it all. And it's interesting, this is the first time I'm using a white pot on the bottom, so it's a little hard to see. I can do that. I'm just gonna turn on to medium high heat here, just give it a chance to, another thing that is very helpful for you to have is a square piece of paper towel, okay? And you have a little dish with you. Wait, just make sure that you all can see me. All right, so now this is getting hot. And my eggs are getting ready. Now, when they make this, the traditional way, you're just putting little bits of layers back and forth, back and forth. We can do that, and it does work on this. I practiced it several times. Or you can also do it kind of half and half. So I think I will show you. We've got kids, doing it that way is a little bit difficult, but let me just show you how we're going to get started. Okay, so I've wiped out most of the oil here. You do want it to be have enough of a coating on the bottom so that you're able to move the egg easily, but you don't really want to have too much oil left around. Okay, and so I'm going to start off, and I'm going to take about just under a half. You've got 3 eggs, so watch what I'm doing. And the way I test whether my pan is ready or not is I put a dot of the egg in and see if it sets, and it has, so we're ready. All right, so I've got a layer of the egg on the bottom. Everybody can see that? All right, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to swirl it a little bit, but I'm going to take the edges, moving it like this, so that the more of the egg yolk finds itself on the pan to cook. You don't want to burn the bottom, so you can lower, this is what I always do, I get impatient. Lower your heat to like a medium low. All right, the egg will cook, medium low. What we don't want it to do is burn. There is sugar in here, okay? So again, you want to get as much of the batter from that's loose, that's hanging around underneath like this. Okay, and I'm just going to loosen this around. Okay, and I have, you can use a spatula or a little thing. This is silicone. It does, it is heat proof, so I know that I'm okay with it. And I'm just going to pick it up and taking it off the heat. All right, is everybody with me? I want to make sure everybody's with me. If you're waiting to watch me do it, that's good. What I'm going to do now is roll the omelet forward. Okay, so you don't have to use chopsticks. You can use a knife or whatever it is, but you're going to roll it forward. Little dark. And so I'm rolling it forward like this. And one more time. Okay. So I've got my first layer. Obviously, when you have a rectangular pan, you don't have these little guys hanging out over here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the soaked paper towel with the oil, and I'm going to re-oil these parts that I am seeing here. I'm going to push this egg a little forward, and I'm going to put it right on the back, along the back. Okay. So I've got a nice oiled surface again. Push this back. And now this is kind of a little bit of a tricky part. We're going to do another layer, about a quarter of it. And if you can see It's almost around, but it's not. I'm gonna pick up this piece and right underneath here, I'm gonna make sure that the egg is all under that. Okay, can everybody see that? Okay. So when you see the tamagoyaki, when you see it cut, it's got layers in it. It's got a lot of layers. Now this part, you want to just tap so that the heat goes through like this. Okay. And you see why it's kind of important for a non-stick pan and for it to be well greased. Now, here's where I could run into trouble if I'm going to try to use my thing. So you can use two things, but I can probably lift it up with one. And again, I'm just going to roll it forward. Ooh, nice color. Okay. And I'm going to roll it forward one more time. Yay, I got it. Okay. If you didn't and yours is broken a little bit, don't worry, you've got another chance for a layer. All right. So we've got this. Before I push the omelet back, I am going to take my oiled paper towel again and put it over here. So there are three things that are going on that you want to be aware of. You want the heat of the pan and the oil on the pan, that each time you add a layer of egg, you're going to oil the pan, okay? Even if you make a million mistakes, you still roll it up and it still looks good. Okay, so I think I've got one more go of this. You may only have two, but I think I have three, maybe. The thing is, you don't want to put in too much because it would take a long time to cook. And then again, we're going to pick up the omelet and put the egg underneath here. I think I put a little bit too much batter in there, but we'll be okay. I'm going to drive my heat up a little bit more. So, does anybody have any questions? How are you doing? There's a lot of batter here, you see. So I'm just going to try and get it more onto the pan because I want it to be cooked. So I have a little bit too much, but that's all right. It's still gonna work really well. The thing that you want is to make sure that the egg is cooked. That's important. And so if I got a little bit too much batter, I'll put my chopsticks in here, make a little bit of a hole. Okay. And wait for it to set a little bit more. How's everybody doing? Everybody okay? This is, if you're doing it for the first time, it's hard. But it's kind of a fun thing to do. And then when you finish and you've made it, it's like, oh my goodness, I made that. All right, so as it's set, you can see it. It's still a little loose here. And we want to make sure that the egg is cooked, and we will cook it again. We'll roll it now. This is our last roll forward. All right. Sometimes you need two things to help you, but I'm going to just take my chopsticks, put it around and roll it forward. Okay. And I'll do it one more time. Yes. All right, I'm very excited. I have not embarrassed myself in front of a cooking class, students. All right, that is one good looking omelet, if I do say so myself. How's everybody doing? All right, and so now we want to make sure the whole thing is cooked through. All right, so I'm going to flip it over and cook it a little bit on the other side. And I mean, you've seen this kind of motion on TikTok, but I can't do that. So just going to roll it over like that. And I'm going to turn off the heat. Oops, wrong direction. Okay. And turning off the heat is going to keep the fire from, burning it further, but it'll still cook for a minute or two. I will say this is a new pan for me, and I really, really like the way it cooks this because nothing much sticks to it. So that's good. I'm done. How about you all? On that. All right. I'm going to stop my share for a second so I can ask you to show me your tamagoyakis. Let's see where you are. Anybody want to show us theirs? The gallery view, let's see. Oh, yeah. Leah, very nice. Excellent job. Oh, perfect, Tiziana. Yes.
It tastes better than it looks.
Ah, oh, Candace, she's got the pan. All right. Nice, 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 nice. All right. Excellent. So now I'm going to go back to my share and I'll show you what we do for the next part, which you can do if you want, or you don't have to. But I will show it to you. I'm going to take my makisu. This is a sushi rolling mat. You can use foil if you want, or you don't have to use anything. But if you see those eggs in, you know, when you get them in the store in Japan, they usually have these kind of indentations, and it's usually made from some kind of a mat. And so I'm just going to take my pan and turn over like that. Okay. And you can just leave it. You don't have to do anything to shape it if you don't want, or you can put it in foil. This is just going to hold the shape. If you have one of these makisu around, then great, give it a try. And I'm just going to roll it like this. And you see that the shape is kind of like square edge. It's less cylindrical now. And what we want to do is just leave it alone until it is cool. And that's when we're going to cut it. Okay, so that's not so hard once you do it, and it's very satisfying to make these things. So I will, I hope you enjoyed that, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy the cutting it and seeing what a great job it is. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe out this pan. If you have to, you can wash your pan, but I'm going to use this pan to fry the chicken in or the tofu. Okay, I'm going to try not to use a ton of pans, which I always do, but I'm going to wipe this out because it's such a good nonstick pan for me. Okay, so let me put this aside, clean up my space. All right. And we're also going to have a couple of other things to marinate as well, so that we can have these tasty when we're ready. So just before I take out things in the oven, if you were able to get mozzarella balls, these are kind of little cute little ciblini, I think that's what they're called, little mozzarella balls. Or if you couldn't get them in this shape, you could just cut fresh mozzarella like that. And I know it's kind of odd, but I definitely saw this on a Japanese website. They put soy sauce on the mozzarella and marinated it. And I will tell you, it is really delicious. It was, I think I saw it where they put the mozzarella, the marinated mozzarella in an onigiri ball. But I've been using these as, you know, little skewers. And again, going to put some soy sauce directly in the bag. If you don't like to use plastic, you can put it in a bowl, but it's good if you can put it in something where you can have the sauce lay flat. So I'm gonna measure outside the spot here. It's about a tablespoon of soy sauce. And just carefully close this. Everybody with me? All right. So a lot of things, you know, you want to get everything ready to the point where you're putting together your bento box. It's an assembly project. And so there are plenty of things that you can do ahead of time. Okay. So I've got my cherry tomatoes all ready to go, and I'm putting that together over there. If I was gonna wait a while, I would put it in the refrigerator, but we'll be using this within about half an hour, so it's okay out. And it's got soy sauce on it, which is an antibacterial as well, helping to preserve the food. Okay, all right. A lot of people have wondered, with Japanese lunch boxes, how they can put meat and things in a box that doesn't get refrigerated. And part of the reason is because they are using these, soy sauce, ginger, garlic that is that are antibacterials and help to preserve food. Okay, we will get ready now again. Let's see. Before we start frying this, let's get your hot dogs going here. They call these wieners or Vienna sausages because Wiener or taco Wiener sort of coming from Vienna sausage. And that is something that came along with the American soldiers post-war, put in all kinds of dishes. And I don't think people started making octopus out of hot dogs until a lot later, but that's where there's a lot of hot dogs used in cuisine that is sort of yoshoku, Western cuisine. So there are two ways we're going to handle this. We've got kids here who I think are going to absolutely love the taco wiener, where taco means octopus, and then adults who still want something attractive, which you can fry these and they're going to be delicious. But if you want something attractive, meide taberu, what we're going to do is score these. Okay, so let's just get them, and you're going to put it on an angle like this, and maybe just two cuts. These are little guys, and you score them so that they kind of look like this. And once we quickly fry them, they open up, put a little ketchup on them, and they are delicious and they look good. Okay, so I'm just going to score these. Those are for the adults or the kids who would like it that way. And then I'll do the octopus. So I'm preparing this so that when we're ready to cook and everything is not waiting and getting too cold, and I've scored it on both sides. Now, to make the octopus, if you only have a big hot dog, I'm going to show you both ways to do that. It's kind of hard to cut this little guy into 8 legs. I mean, you can cut 4 legs. But with the hot dog, I generally cut about from the top here. We're going to get 2 octopus from here. So I'm going to cut about 1/3 down here, like that. And I'm going to cut the middle part. That's not going to be an octopus. That guy's going to get scored like this. Okay. And then I've got the other one. Not exactly even, but they'll work. So what we're going to do now, I don't know how many people have the little ones. This does not work with tofu dogs. It definitely doesn't. I think it works with turkey, but not as great. So what you really want to do now, and I'm going to demonstrate on the big one, is you're going to cut almost 1/4 of the way. Keep this part is going to be the head right here. And this is going to be the legs. So I'm going to cut 1 slit down the middle. Okay. 2 legs like that. And then I'm going to turn it so that I've got another whole part here. And I'm going to cut this down the middle like that. And I've got 4 legs. All right. Now you can leave it at 4, or you can go a little bit further and cut each of those legs in half until you get 8. Okay. How you guys doing? Do not worry. This will curl up even if you have 4 legs. So I just keep dividing them in half until I have 8 legs for the octopus. Okay. Everybody with me? There's my 8 legs. And we're going to boil these and they're going to curl up like that. The little ones are a little harder to do, and you may want to leave them in 4, depending on how good you are. You can also try to use a pair of scissors. It also works. Okay. And cut it, whoops, in half like that. All right. All right, is everybody with me? Let's do one more. Octopus, hot dog together. Gonna cut it down the middle. Up to about 1/4 of the way, so I've got a head. And then I'm gonna turn it over. Cut it again. I've got 4 legs here. And I'm gonna leave this guy in 4 so we can see what this looks like, because I've already got one with 8. And generally you figure about 2 of these per person, depending. Okay. And that's why I told you to get 4 dogs if you're making for 8 people or, you know, whatever. So here are mine, they're all ready. This one is scored and ready to fry in a pan. Okay. And set it aside. All right. So is everybody with me? Any questions at this point? No? All right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get the chicken. We're going to start to get the oil going in the pot on a very kind of medium low. And I think, let me just double check where we're going with this. We will use about, oops, sorry. Back here, about 1/2 cup of canola oil. Now, it is true that when the oil is very hot and you're using two cups of it, the food does not get greasy. But we're going to shallow fry today. Okay, so I'm going to add about 1/2 cup of oil, which should bring me up to at least 1 inch. Okay, like that. So what it's going to mean is that we're going to have to turn our chicken over a couple of times to make sure that all is there. And now I'm going to turn on my heat to medium. Medium and get that nice and hot. Is everybody with me? I don't want to be running ahead of you. Okay.
I have a super quick question.
Yes, please.
Since I'm doing chicken and tofu,
Yes.
should I do 2 separate pans, or can I cook the chicken first, then cook the tofu, or
Other way around. Tofu.
first, then
Yeah.
chicken? Okay.
Yeah. Because you don't want to contaminate oil meat. And so I think that would be best. Okay.
Okay.
Do that first. Let's get your 1/2 cup of cornstarch here. You may need more. All right, let's take that out and let's get the chicken from the refrigerator. Okay. Now, the other thing I will show you is what I use when I take it out of the pan is I have a rack, a wire rack, and a pan underneath. Could be a cookie sheet, could be anything that you want. A lot of us take fried things out and put it on top of paper towel or a bag, but the oil will stay in the food if you do that. So what you want to do is have a rack that will be above your pan, and so the oil will drip down. Okay. And this is not intended to be eaten hot. So just be aware that this is not hot. And that's again, a lot of things, interesting thing about Japanese bento. they eat a lot of foods that we would not think of eating cold, like tempura or ebi fry, shrimp, with panko on it. And they'll eat that cold. And so that is not something we're so used to, or fried chicken. But the thing is about bento, all the food that you make is highly seasoned and has to taste good, cold or hot. So that's another element. So I'm going to put this on the side. Okay.
We have another question from the chat.
Yes.
Is peanut oil okay?
Yes, that's fine. Sure. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I have a separate plate. You are not going to fry all this chicken at one time. I can do it in half. So we'll be doing it probably in 2 halves. If you're actually frying a pound, it might be 3. But I'll ask you for now to just fry half of it so we can actually get the bento all together. So here's my setup. Okay, pull back a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Right. So what I'm going to do now is, well, after I made a deal about not touching the fish and all that sort of stuff, I mean the chicken, I am going to have to put my hand in here and just take a few pieces at a time and coat it like this. It's called dry coating. Okay. What you don't want is you don't want your oil smoking. Just lower that heat. Mine was smoking. So I have it like this. Okay. There's no batter, there's no egg, there's nothing. It's just the soy sauce and other things that you put on it that's causing the cornstarch to adhere. And I am using cornstarch today. Okay. And with that. And I'm only going to coat as much as I'm going to cook, because if you leave this on too long, it starts to get mushy. So you want to fry it when you coat it. Okay. All right, everybody. Let's see if we're ready. You just wash my hands. This is a little high heat. And all right. Back to my handy dandy saibashi. And I'm just going to see by putting in a little bit of cornstarch, see what happens. Oh yeah, that's ready. And I'm just going to start to add my chicken now. Okay. I could go a little higher like that. And so there's a lot of bubbles around it. Let's see if I can move it a little bit closer so you can get that. Okay. And then I'm going to add the rest. You do not want to overcrowd the pan. It reduces the heat of the oil and makes the food greasy. Okay, so it's gonna take, it takes a little bit of time to do this and patience. And we'll just put them all in like that. Okay. And you can see that there's space around everything. That's good. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start the other oil for my tofu on my stove. And I have a friend here with me, and I may ask her if she could do the frying of the tofu for that we can see. Okay. And can everybody see this? Okay. And you'll be fine. You'll do that. And things are frying, and they're frying quickly. And I have the oil in there, and some. All right. All right. So as you can see, it's frying And the thing about, as we said, the chicken thighs are moist. And so that's one of the reasons why they're used. And I'm just gonna turn it over. And you can see it's got a nice crust on it. Ooh, nice, looking good, looking good. To me, that means I've got the right temperature. The oil was at the right temperature when I did it. When I put the chicken in. I'm just gonna turn these over. If anybody likes to deep fry, by all means, you can certainly do that. And the higher the temperature and the more oil that you have, the less it absorbs. So it's definitely, you know, an alternative. Okay, so you can see that this is getting nice and brown pretty quickly. Okay. How's everybody doing? And you'll be able to start smelling that wonderful garlic and ginger. Okay. Looking good. And the thing that you really want to make sure of is with the tofu, because that has much more moisture in it, is that it may splatter from liquid in it, so be very careful. And of course, working with kids, you know, standing back. Now you can see why having long chopsticks are a very good idea. It keeps your hand out of the oil. And then I'm going to turn it one more time. Okay. And again, white meat cooks faster than dark meat. So of course you want to be very careful that everything is cooked through with this. No amount of ginger or garlic is going to help a situation where you've got raw meat. So you really want to be careful with that. Okay. All right. And so now I've got my pan here. If I was going to put in the air fryer, I would put it in after I coated the chicken. And I would spray the bottom of the air fryer and then spray a layer of oil on top of this. And then I can cook it for about 10 minutes or maybe, and then look at it and see if there's more. All right. So I'm just turning this over a couple of times. The smaller pieces obviously cook faster than the big ones. And I'm going to take it out and put it right on top of this tray. Okay. Just like that. So the good thing about this, as I said, is the food does not have to be hot. Okay, and a lot of people make things early in the morning for the picnic. Well, here we go. That. And that is done, and I'm ready to do the second one. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop with the chicken, and Yoko-san's going to bring me the tofu so that you can see how that's cooking. Just 1 second. This is going to be a fry pan ballet. You take this off, okay? Okay. Okay, so now you can see the tofu. All right, which is getting nice and brown and getting crispy. And the reason for that is that we got rid of the moisture. Okay, can everybody see that? All right. And in this case, I do not have another, like actually I do have one more. Okay. And here I put a rack on top of the plate. And now, oh, that is looking, that's pretty beautiful. All right. And now that's done. Okay, for the person who's using the tofu, how's it going? Are you getting it fried up like this? Whoever's using the tofu?
Yeah, it's going good.
Good, excellent, okay, all right. So now that is done.
Oh, we have another question from the chat.
Yes,
Did you cook the tofu in cornstarch too?
yes, yes. You treat it exactly the same way. You coat it in cornstarch and you've got this beautiful crust on it. Okay, excellent. And now, you know, this oil can be used again. Even oil that is using, you know,
Excuse me.
yes,
I have a quick question real quick.
yes, honey.
How long do we fry the tofu?
You're gonna fry the tofu for probably about 3 to 4 minutes.
Okay.
And what you're gonna do, and you can see that it was swimming around here, but what you also do is you need to turn it over. And you may need to set it on the different sides, because it's a cube, like that, to make sure that it's all done. But this, we just turned over once because it went halfway up. Okay?
Okay.
All right, everybody. Good. So now that's done. Is everybody still frying? I want to make sure that I give you enough time to do that. Is everybody frying?
I'm
Yeah.
still frying.
We're
Okay, all right. While you're
yeah,
frying,
we're frying.
you can take another pot or pan and fill it about halfway with water. That's where we're gonna cook our octopi, okay? And while we're waiting, while I'm waiting for that to come to, I'll get that to a boil. I'm just gonna saute, while you're doing your thing, I'm just gonna saute some of those little franks so I can show you what it looks like when it's scored. Okay.
Another question. How
Yes.
did you get the moisture out of the tofu?
What I did with the tofu is that I had a medium firm. I wrapped the tofu in a couple of layers of paper towel. I put it on a plate. And then I put on top of that a little cutting board. And I left it like that for 30 minutes. And that absorbed all of the water. And then I took it out and just patted it dry. And that got rid of the moisture. Another way to do that is to put the tofu in the microwave for about 1 minute, and you'll see if you put it on a plate and the water will pool on the plate and you dump it and then pat it dry with paper towel. Okay? So that's how you would do that. All right, let me move this over here. All right, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, you guys keep on your task. I'm just going to put a little bit of oil in my fry pan here. Okay, and while I'm doing this, I'm also heating up the water for the hot dogs. So I want to make sure everybody is not feeling any pressure or anything, that they have to quickly do this. But I just want to saute up the hot dogs now. I have just a little bit of oil in there, just to show you what it looks like when you do that scoring. Okay. All right. Any other questions from anyone? And so now we are getting ready to put all of this together. Our hot dogs are kind of the last thing that we're going to cook. Then our tamago should be ready. Okay. I'm going to keep those there. And so here, I'm just going to fry these hot dogs. And you can see already that it starts to open up. It's got a nice little center, and then what we do is put a little ketchup on it, and that hold on to the ketchup, hold on to the sauce. And it is, they're pretty much almost all ready. But see how nice that looks? It's nicer than just the straight edge. So that's the whole point. Again, Mayday Tabere, you eat with your eyes. And I'm just gonna get some of this. Now, it is not a good idea to put paper in a frying pan while it's on. So, but I'm just trying to get a little bit of this off. So you can see it? And then I'm just gonna take a tiny little bit of ketchup. And just put that on, and what this is gonna do is give it a little bit of a glaze. Like that. Okay. Another way that we might say Mayday Taberu is you eat with your eyes, it's appetizing. It makes the food look appetizing. Okay. So. And if food looks appetizing, you want to eat it. I'm just going to take these out. Whoops. Wrong size. Chopsticks. Got a nice little char on it. Okay. Turn this off. And on to our last thing. And here's our little hot dogs. I'm putting everything together so that we're ready to place it. And I now have my water boiling. Okay. Can you all give me a sense of where you are? Are you with me? Are you ready to cook hot dogs? Or are you still doing your chicken?
Our water is almost ready to boil. One more
All
minute.
right. Excellent. Excellent. All right. So my water is at a boil now. And I'm hoping you're going to be able to see this. Okay. And now what I'm going to do, another safe tool to use would be tongs. Okay. And so I'm going to take my hot dogs and in they go. Right. And we're going to see what happens as they, yeah. Whoa, can you all see that? This is real time. I have done this so many times, but I'll tell you, every single time I do it, it's like magic. It's so cool. So here we are. Oh, look at that 8-1. That really opened up. Nice. Here's our little four-footed guy. All right. And you just cook them for a minute. Okay. All right. Excellent, everybody. See, there's not a lot of cooking in this, but you'll see that we're about ready to put things together. That's where the effort comes. All right. And I will take them out. There he is. And here's my four-legged one, quadrupod. Okay, they're trying to escape the bowl. Our cooking is done. Hot off. I'll put this on the stove and clear its space so that we're ready to start to cut the tamagoyaki and get everything together before we try to attempt to put the bento together. Okay. Okay, is everybody with me? It's on the side, and all my colorful mats. And now start our assembly. This, we wipe off the table. All right, bear with me, everyone. I know we're a little bit over on time, but we've got our hot dogs ready. We've got the mozzarella balls and the cherry tomatoes. Mine are a little bit large today. Right. I have my tofu and karaage. That's set up, okay. So we're putting everything all out so that we can assemble it and work on that. Oops. There we go. We got our green. We need our cucumber to get that ready. All right. And let me get my chicken. Okay. See, I'm just getting everything assembled right in front of me. So I'm gonna go. I have fruit that I've already washed. I've got some strawberries, I've got some grapes, I've got clementine, and I will probably open the clementine like that so that we can put it in little cups as we arrange it. Okay, my strawberries are washed. Everything, all right. The rice we will do at the end. And here's our tamago yaki. Right. Actually, before we do the tamago yaki, take your cucumber. I'm going to make a quick asazuke, which is a quick cucumber pickle. And I'm going to just cut it on a diagonal like this. I should have done this a little bit earlier, so we'd have a little bit, it'd be a little bit softer, but here we are. Usually there are pickles in almost every meal, good for your digestion, another texture, crunch. So I'm just cutting up these cucumbers using the skin. The mini cubes or English cubes, you can use the skin. Okay. That. This is not so much as a recipe, it's just a way to do this. So I'm going to put some salt on the cucumbers and just let it sit for just a few minutes, and then we'll add lemon juice and soy sauce. So a little bit of salt like that. Okay. By the time we're ready to put it in the bento box, it will be ready for us. Just a little bit of salt, quick pickle. Okay. All right. Now we are ready to cut the tamago yaki. Is everybody with me? Has everybody got that? Okay. So here we are. And let me just make sure this is dry. And the big reveal. Open it up. Should be nice and cool now. Oh yeah. That's looking good. This is mine. Okay. Usually they're a little bit thicker than that, but for our purposes today, to do it quickly, we have a thinner one. All right. And we also have a longer pan. So if you have a shorter pan, you can make a thicker omelet. And the way to cut this is down the middle, like that. Okay. And let's see what it looks like in a minute. Oh, yes. You can see all those layers. Very nice. Very nice. And it's dense and there are no holes in it. Good. All right. And then we cut off the little pieces at the end. And as they say in Japanese, this is makanai. This is what you eat for the chefs, the people who are working in the kitchen. That's yours. That's your portion. But we want it to look good. Mayday taberu, so just cut off the end there like that so we can get nice. So if you don't have the kind of pan, you can do it. Now you can either cut this in thirds if you want thirds for a little bit thicker, or you can cut it half and then half again. I'm going to do thirds. All right. So cut that down and like that. Okay. And things are presented not in even numbers, they're presented in odd numbers, so either 3 or 5 will go together, even though we're cutting it in 6 pieces. That's traditionally what is done. That and here. Okay. We've got our eggs ready. And that's set up. And we've got this set up, cucumber. And now I have a bunch of cute little picks that I have been gathering and collecting over time. And I want something that'll have a sharp end. Excuse me. And I'm going to do, let's see, put this on the side. I'm going to do a mozzarella ball, a cherry tomato, a mozzarella ball. So that's my design on that. You can do anything that you want. And so I'm going to put one here, that. And these said cherry tomatoes, they were so big. So they're a little bigger than I would want them to be, but there they are anyway. And oops, forgot my pattern. All right, there is your skewer. I'm going to do one more. That. You can use them like a cute little pinwheel. These are not Japanese. I found these at American markets, you know, as well. That everything's available on the internet. Although I did bring these from Japan, you can get them in the States at any party place or online. And yeah. All right. That. And one more. Okay. Oops. So I hope everybody's ready. You have your boxes. I'm going to be so interested to see what we're going to be using. And okay, there, I got that. So usually I would have one per person for something like this. It's pretty substantial. Right? Let me wash my hands. Okay. You want a lemon wedge that we're going to use for sprinkling a little lemon juice on the karaage. And you're going to need a little bit of lemon for the cucumber pickles. Okay. So let's see where we are now. I'm going to move all my knives. How's everybody doing? Okay. And finally, what we need is the rice. Okay. So what we're going to do with the rice is I have some little cupcake liners like this. You can use any ones that you want. And I found that my little ice cream scoop worked really well by putting the rice in there. So I wet the ice cream scoop and then I put the rice in here. And I have 2 different kinds of furikake. Okay, here I have yukari, which is shiso, red shiso and salts, a little sour. And then I have norigoma, which is sesame seeds and seaweed. And what's in here as well is salt and a little bit of sugar, which makes it very, very tasty. Okay. So how's everybody doing? I've got all my things right out here in front of me. I'm going to just move my camera a little bit so that we can get an idea of what's all is going on here. And I've got that ready. So I'm going to switch off my share for a minute and ask you all to show me your boxes. I'm going to stop my share and I'm going to see what you've got. People want to show me their boxes. Nice, the cute little, oh, kawaii. Okay, What else have we got there? Melissa, you've got one too? Nice. Nice, nice. Michelle, anybody else cooking? Okay. Good. Tiziana, she's put everything, she's put the rice in there like a real bento. Okay, she's all ready to go. Okay, excellent. So what we've got here is some people have very deep boxes, and that's okay. But what you may want to do if you have a deep box is to take some lettuce like this and line the bottom so it brings it up a little bit. If you don't have, one person I saw had a deep box, but that's, that's totally okay. So what we're going to do now is construct the bento. And I'm going to get my box out and ready to go. So I've got all this real estate to cover in here. And remember, what we want to do is we want to group things together, like things together, not like one egg over here and then next to it is the chicken, the egg, the vegetables, everything kind of stays in one area, their own little cubby hole, if you will. All right. And I will start to construct mine and put this back on here. And Yoko-san, do you think you could do the rice for me? Okay. There you go. So let me do about 5 or 6 of them and just keep it right in here. And here's you can put a little bit of water. Okay, so let me put my thing back on, and we're just almost finished. And okay, so there's my box. I don't have a fancy thing. I could have also used something like this. This is a very nice bento box that I have that has 2 layers. And so this would work for that as well. But I'm going to use something that I think maybe would almost everything that I have into. So what I want to do is I'm going to just layer a little bit of lettuce down on mine first, a little bit of green on the bottom. Okay. That. And I like to line it with things that you can eat as well. So I've got that down here. And things that I think may be a little drippy, I also have some extra little liners for that. So I think I'm going to start with my karaage, and I'm going to put that in a little liner here. And I've got my chicken. Okay. So in this case, I might do one karaage over here and one over here. Okay, I can do that as long as they're kind of grouped together. Okay, and see, like that. All right, and now let's put in the tamagoyaki. So I've got my egg. And again, you think about the colors and where things are going to go next to each other. So this is kind of a similar color to that. So I may move this down over here. Okay. So another 2. That everybody see that, and then just kind of build your box as you want. I've got a little bit of red in here. All right, I'm going to go across like this. Great, pieces like that. And I want to take a piece of the lemon and put it with the karaage, because that's going to get spritzed on top. So I'll put that over in the corner here. All right. And now let's find a home for my little hot dogs, okay? I don't need to put the two proteins together, so I could stick that on another side over here. I should be using my chopsticks to put this together. Be a little bit, look a little bit better, but I'm just gonna add all of my little dogs together, and you can see they're next to something yellow, so that looks pretty good. Oh, I better get my chopsticks. Set those together. So you're getting the idea that everything is kind of kept together and attractively arranged, kept separate. You can take your little hot dogs and they can find a little home over here like that. You all can see that. But anywhere you want to put those, I'll stick those also with the remainder here. And now I've got my cucumbers, and they're going to be a little bit liquidy. So you can see, just want to squeeze them a little bit, put a little bit of soy sauce on, just a little bit, and a spritz of lemon as well. Okay. And this green will look really nice down here. Okay. I'm putting these in little cups because so if we're going out and there are things that have liquid on them, you want that to sort of somehow be protected. So then you take your cucumbers, set them around, and okay. And if you've got kids and they want to have a nice, cute little pics or something, you can add different things. This has a little bit of lemon on it, so I'm going to put a lemon pick there. And now we need fruit and rice. Okay, so you can push these things together. The rice balls are right here. And what I'm going to do is just hold them like this and just dip them in the furikake. And oops, it's a little hard to do that. And just set them right in here. Okay, I think I'm going to sprinkle. Let's do that. Oops. And that way you can just pick them up and just eat them. I'll sprinkle a little bit of yukari on. And another rice. And a little bit more furikake. That. Right. You can see everything's going in one place. If you've got a double-decker one and you've got a lot, you can do that. You also want a little pick for people to be able to pick up the little hot dogs with. So you can put a couple of those in there like that. And finally, a little bit for the fruit. Right? And again, you don't want to put those in directly, but I've got strawberry and some grapes. This, okay, and you can kind of scrunch it up. Make room as you will. The other thing is that you notice that this is tightly packed, which means the food is not going to move around. Okay, that's the other goal of this, is so that the food does not move around. Okay. And you can add the fruit to other sections as well. You can cut the strawberry in half. And I think I had a little bit of clementine that I had opened up, but I'm not remembering where I put that. Oops. Over here. Thank you. And again, you've got all these lovely colors. Very enticing, very filling, and perfect for picnic. You can add a little bit, this over here is looking a little brownish, so I could, add a little bit of greenery there. I'd add a mint or something like that if I had it. Okay, there's my picnic. All right, I'm going to stop my share and I'm going to ask you all to show me your picnic bento boxes so that we can take a picture. And anybody who's been not on camera but made it. Oh, wow, look at that. Whoa, yeah, awesome, everyone. Nice job. Very cute. Hawaii. Excellent, excellent. So any of these things can, anything can go in there. You just want to keep on. So Melissa and your children, how are they doing? Can we see yours? Have they already eaten? Okay. Nice, guys. Very nice. So let me see everybody's bento box and then I will take a picture if that's okay with you. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Bento. Oh, nice, Tiziana. Beautiful job, everybody. All right. Wow. Okay. And as we say in Japanese, otsukaresama deshita, which means thank you for your exhaustion. But I hope it'll be worth it when you get to eat it. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Oh, so a friend of mine who is here, Yoko, said the reason why there is no blue in the bento box is that in Japan, blue is the color that helps you lose one's appetite. So good reason for that. No blue color in natural ingredients. And there are various examples. So thank you, everybody. Any questions? Scout Mayor, what have you got there? Let me see yours. Nice. Awesome. Awesome. Great. And so, as everybody knows, before we eat in Japan, for a Japanese meal, we put our hands together and we say, itadakimasu. Can everybody say, itadakimasu?
Itadakimasu.
Itadakimasu.
Hey, thank you, everyone. Any questions or anything?
Thank you. It was lovely.
I hope you enjoyed. And next month, we have one more in August. It will be July 22nd. My colleagues don't know that yet. And we will be doing something with, for a special event, will also be with Japanese wagashi, or Japanese desserts, with a person from Houston who is a specialist. And I think we'll be making a couple of different kinds of dorayaki, which is the Japanese pancake with azuki bean jam in the middle. Okay. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for playing with your food with me and being a little bit late, but hope to see you again.
All right, let's give Deborah Sensei a virtual round of applause. Thank you so much.
Yay, arigatou gozaimasu.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Arigatou gozaimashita.
And
We'll
at the
see you
end,
next month.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye, sayonara. I hope it tastes good. Let me know. Sayonara.